not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And this is going to be, I'm going to talk about two subjects in this one video. The first subject I'm going to talk about New Year's. And then I'm going to go in and talk about the concept of black people don't tip. Some may say that these two subjects coincide with one another, because on New Year's we're going to go out to establishments, you know, like restaurants and bars, you know, where we're going to, you know what I'm saying, tip the staff. Okay, New Year's. And why do we celebrate it on January the 1st? Yeah, it's mind-boggling. This goes by the Gregorian calendar, which the majority of the people around the world, I don't know, I always do want to say the majority, but a lot of people celebrate on January the 1st. And the New Year's, well, the Europeans have changed New Year's quite a bit. And this is where, because it used to be during the vernal equinox, you know, around March 25th or to April 4th, 5th, you know what I'm saying? Back in the days, they didn't have no like particular set day, but that was around the time. You know, we know that the vernal equinox is when light start to overpower dark. You know, you can harvest your crops. The ground turns green again. There's leaves on the trees. And so, therefore, why did they change it to January the 1st? Some people say it has something to do with astrology, but it's still kind of unclear. There's just a bunch of theories out there. My thing is, I felt that they changed it to coincide with Christmas, because, you know, Christmas is a bunch of hoopla, you know, very big pagan holiday ceremony in the Western world, in Europe. And so therefore they say, hey, why not let the New Year's tailgate this? Now, I suggest people check out my video about Christmas. I go into the whole, from the time it started off, from a Scandinavian holiday, from its pagan roots, all the way to its, how it's just a commercial ceremony. You know what I'm saying? That Christmas is all about capitalism. You know what I'm saying? It's a merchant's holiday. So check my video out. I think the video is like 30 minutes long. It's a very, very long video. Maybe I'll put the link to that video. And as I said, the Christmas was like a purge. Back in the days, in the medieval times, it was like a purging. They closed the door to the courts. The Europeans ran rampant. They did whatever the hell they wanted to do. Walked around naked, had orgies with kids. And since I think that, after they got all this out their system, they said, okay, let's let the New Year's tag along on this, because then we can be anew. And, we can wash away our sins. See, this is where April Fools come into play. Why we, because that used to be the New Year's. So hence you're fooled, because we used to celebrate it to New Year's here, but we moved it to January the 1st, which is odd, because nothing changes, from December to January. We went from the winter to the dead of winter. But now let's go into tipping. Black people don't tip. Well, I used to deliver pizza pies when I was 19 years old. And yes, black people do tip. Do we tip as well as Europeans? Well, as American whites? No, but then there's certain things you have to factor in, how much money somebody has. Of course, people who got a lot more money in bank accounts and credit cards are going to tip more so than people lower on the economic scale. It's just how it is. But, with black people in there, people don't factor in income. They don't even factor in age and things of that nature. They say, well, poor black people set the standards for blacks. Now, when we go into tipping, there's plenty of different types of cultures of people, nationalities in this country that don't tip at all. Mainly due to the culture of the country that they come from, particularly the Arabs, people from the Middle East, a lot of Africans and Europeans, white Europeans from Europe, a lot of Asian people from Asian countries, don't don't tip. Now you may say, well, you know, because they're foreigners, but yeah, some of these people has been living in this country long enough to know the custom. I'm not saying they all, maybe there are some, but generally they're not considered good tippers. You know, I would say that they are worse tippers than blacks, but with the exclusion of Japanese people. Japanese people, you know, even the tourists are known to be good tippers because, you know what I'm saying, they respect, you know, American customs and so forth, so they tip. So if the Japanese can tip, then why can't, you know, the Arabs and the Jews tip? But, you know, but don't sit up there and say that black people are the absolute worst tippers, or we don't tip at all. But, you know, with black people, you can understand, you always look at the negative. No matter how many black people do tip, the people are always going to have this in their mind. It's like it's embedded in their mind that, oh, black people don't tip, you know, and they'll come across a black person that don't tip and say, you see, I told you so. But, you know, when I delivered pizzas, you know what I'm saying, in upstate New York, I was delivering in a mixed neighborhood, and it just, you know, I'll just look at somebody's house and, you know, their car and just determine what kind of tip I get. Now, we're going to go into the concept of tipping, and to me, that is capitalism at full swing. Now, I understand that there's people, you know, I understand the wait staff in restaurants, they only get paid $2 or $1.25 an hour, and so therefore their whole entire livelihood completely relies on the concept of tipping, of gratuity. And you know, I feel a certain way, even though, you know, at one point in my life I worked for tips, and I'm not against it. I tip myself, but let's really explore it, because you're really just, I'm like, that's their job to do that, to wait tables, you know what I mean? You're paying for the food, you know, and then they bring it out to the table, and I guess you tip, you know, and you should tip on service, and then they switch the rules up like 20%. I know back when I used to deliver hot pizza pies, nobody was talking about 20%, you know. Now it's like, but then they're going to switch it up, and they're going to be like, it's going to be 25%. Then it's going to be 30%. And a lot of times you're tipping people for it. I'm like, that's the job they do. Like a bartender. You know, I go to a bar and ask for a beer, and he just goes into the cooler, pulls out a beer, opens it up with the bottle opener, and I got to tip him. You know, if I ask for a Long Island, you know, I got to tip them. When, you know, isn't that their job? Isn't that what they signed up for? You know, if we tip them, you know, I'm like, what? But I don't know how bartenders get paid, you know. And but I know that now, and then you have barbers, you know what I'm saying? And I got, you know, 2 friends of mine that are, you know, barbers. And besides paying for your haircut, you know, you give gratuity, you know, a tip. I'm like, aren't I paying you for this service? You know, I'm like, okay, a barber cuts hair. A bartender tends the bar to get people drinks. But a carpenter builds houses. A mechanic works on your car. So shouldn't, at that point, everybody get a tip? Now, I know that in New York, I think that the waiters there and the waitresses were protesting. They were trying to want to get $15 an hour, you know what I'm saying, just off the top, just an hourly wage, you know, with the tips on top of that. Now, when I used to deliver pizzas, I made minimum wage, and I made mileage, and then on top of that, tips. I mean, you know, I got paid minimum wage. I got like $1, maybe 94 cents for every pizza I delivered. So, you know, I'm already being compensated, you know what I'm saying, for my gas mileage. And then, you know, they tip on top of that. But I wasn't going to complain delivering pizzas, but a lot of people didn't know that. Some people actually thought a pizza driver did not get a paycheck, that he works solely off tips, you know. But, you know, I guess that's capitalism at work. I know in Europe, like the waiters there, you know, they just make an hourly wage. You don't have to tip them. And technically, we don't have to tip them in our society, but now it's like there's an urgency to, or it's now this they add gratuity on the check. So some places that they automatically add it in the bill, and people may not even know that they may tip on top of that. So they just, they know they paid a whole lot of money for their meal, and sometimes, you got all these charges, which that's a trick within itself, because you don't know what you're paying for. You look down and there may be a line there saying gratuity, but they didn't already charged it 20% extra than what it is. You may not see that, and then you are tipping on top of that. So and that's the thing. And as I said, I'm not. When I go out, I tip. I understand that's how people make a living. I'm just questioning, just the concept of it. How did it originate? And then I'm seeing tip cups in a lot of places. Like I was at, there's this bar, not a bar, but a smoothie bar. And it gets smoothies. I like my smoothies. I particularly like Monkey's Uncle. If you never had a Monkey Uncle, you should try it. And they got a tip cup just sitting there, and I guess these people, that's what they, I'm paying you to make me a smoothie. I don't know how much money you make hourly. I'm assuming you make at least a minimum wage or more, or maybe you're making $10 an hour. But you just got that cup out there just to, and even sometimes when I go inside liquor stores, I see a tip cup right there by the cashier. And I'm like, well, I went to the cooler myself and grabbed my own beer. I brung it up to the counter, and your job is just to ring me out. And then, you expect a tip, something on top of that. So, I think people are now just taking advantage of people's generosity. Now the only people that is unquestioned whether they deserve a tip or not are strippers. That's not even an argument there. And I understand in a lot of places strippers gotta pay to work. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, they have to pay money at the door just to come to work. Man, I'm like, they're straight up pimping these females. And I know that strippers don't make any money, they don't get a paycheck at all. That's what I'm assuming. That I could be wrong. I don't know the schematics. I don't know how each club is run, but the ones I talk to, they don't get a paycheck at all. They work completely off tips. And there, as a patron, you can just sit back and observe and determine which stripper you want to tip and which one you don't. And you might want to tip the stripper that danced the well. That's nice, or ones that just have a nice body, and it's like really, completely optional, you know what I mean? Even though they do things, make it rain and so forth. And I hate it when the stripper comes to me and says, you want to tip me for my dance? And I'm like, well, I didn't tip you for your dance on stage. I didn't get it. So why would I want to tip you now? When strippers just want to just bother you and pester you when you're simply not interested or interested in that one. They should know which strippers, someone's going to be interested in by looking at how they look at, certain cheeks. I guess that's my best way of explaining it. But when someone goes into a strip club, not too many people are just going to go in there for the drinks. Like, I'm just going to go in here for a drink. No, they come in there, they want to see them ass, and with the idea of tipping. But that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching, and salad for